Hello people of the internet, welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm back. So this video is going to be about hearing loss and confidence because I feel like hearing loss has really affected my confidence negatively, but not necessarily for the reasons that people expect. What I've found is that I'm not sure if it's just because I'm a young woman, but everyone seems to instantly assume that every confidence issue I have is because of my appearance. And yeah, so a lot of people, when I say like, oh, being deaf doesn't make me feel very confident, people will say like, oh, well, you can hardly see your hearing aid or your cochlear implant processor, and you can just put your hair over it and it'll be fine. And it's like, no, I don't care. I don't care what they look like. Especially when I'm like walking around in my like ugly barefoot like minimalist shoes, which I think are very good for your feet, and with my splotchy fake tan and no makeup on, it's like, obviously, well, I think it's obvious, I'm not really that concerned about my appearance. I'm not trying to look like Kim Kardashian, really. But I think people just assume that every confidence issue people have, especially young women, is because of their appearance. Although that's a different issue. But yeah, I don't care what my cochlear implant or hearing aid looks like. What I find really difficult is people just assuming that I'm stupid. I start talking to people, and because obviously I speak really well, and people really don't notice that even if I've not like tried to, today I haven't got my hair over my hearing aid or cochlear implant, but people don't see it or like realise what it is. I don't quite know, because I am very, very aware. Like when I see people with hearing aids, it's like I notice it like immediately, but other people don't. I guess it's just because I'm in that zone. Like I have them myself, so I will see it when other people have it. Yeah, people don't realise. So oftentimes, one example that happened recently was I work in a hotel. I do housekeeping in a hotel. And someone came up to me and was asking the directions to their room. So they said, oh, can you give me directions to room 18? And so I struggle a bit hearing numbers because a lot of numbers sound similar and you can't really guess from context. So I'm like, oh, is that 13 or 18? They're like, oh, 18. And I then give them directions. But you can just see that they think that they're like, why is she, didn't she understand what room 18 means? And I was like, no, I just can't hear. But it's like, I don't want to just announce, like, I'm deaf. I'm deaf, I'm not actually stupid. I know the difference, if I could have heard the difference between 13 and 18, I would have known. But, it's like, it's none of their business, so I don't like making that kind of announcement. But, yeah, nothing, it doesn't feel good when people look at you like you're a complete idiot, when you know you're not. And you can't really say, like, by the way, I'm not stupid, because that's kind of rude. And doing kind of weird things socially, like where people ask me a question and I haven't understood the question, so I just go, yeah, definitely. And that's obviously not the answer they were expecting. So they are just like, what? And then it's obvious that I didn't understand the question, and then they, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing that people, it's like once it's obvious that you haven't understood one thing, they then are like, well, you haven't understood any. You're just nodding and smiling. Which, to be honest, I am, but I don't want them to know that. Yeah, and people thinking I'm ignoring them because, again, they don't realise I can't hear. So they're like calling my name and I just haven't noticed. Yeah, and just having to make this like announcement every time I talk to someone. Because I don't like, I know I talk about it very openly on the internet, you know. But in my real life, I don't, every single person I meet want to tell them, you know, that I can't hear, because it's just none of their business and it's not really relevant. Like, oh, would you like your receipt? I'm deaf. Like, and then they have to, you know, take their mask down and repeat it. And it's just like, I don't want to have to do that. You know, I'm not answering their question, I'm just announcing something. Yeah, it's like, well, what else am I supposed to do? But it's like, it just doesn't feel great. And I'm always worried about the volume of my speech. So obviously I speak very well, I speak clearly. People don't realise I can't hear from the way I speak. But sometimes I do speak at the wrong volume. Volume control is a bit of an issue. So what will often happen is either in background noise, I forget to speak up and like, because I'm used to not being able to hear my voice. So if there's a lot of background noise, I forget to raise my voice over the background noise. So I just speak at like my one volume, and then everyone's telling me like speak up, and then I forget and get quieter again. Or I then go too loud. It's very difficult to get it right. Or when I'm in a public place and someone asks me a question and I go to answer the question and I answer it way too loud, and as soon as I start speaking they basically go shh. And obviously they know that I'm speaking really loud and they don't want me to embarrass myself by like shouting something really loudly in public. But from my perspective, they've asked me a question, I've gone to answer it, and they've basically just told me to shut up. It's like, well, why did you ask me then? Yeah, that just doesn't feel very good. So if you know someone that's deaf, please try not to do that to them. Because it's really not good for your confidence. Another thing that I didn't even notice I did was a few weeks ago. If you watched one of my last video, you'll know this. I went to a National Cochlear Implant Users Association meeting thing. So when I went there, virtually everyone was adults with cochlear implants, and most of them were obviously they're all deaf. And they were people that spoke well, so deaf people like me that speak well and are kind of in the hearing world. And I spoke to these ladies who were really nice. And at some point in the conversation, they were talking about like how one of them like learned to sign, and but she just did it as a hobby. She didn't find she really needed it to communicate. And the other lady said to me, like, oh, I know you sign because when you talk, you start to sign and then just stop and like put your hands down. And I didn't realise I did that. And I was like, oh, didn't know I did that. And then I kind of introspectively was thinking like, well, why do I stop? Like, why don't I just carry on? And I was like, well, I guess it's just because I don't want people to think I'm weird because I sign, even to like other deaf people. And it's, so I guess that's something I'm trying to like stop doing now. Not stop signing, but stop like feeling not consciously embarrassed, but like stopping myself because like intentionally. So if I start speaking and I, like sign a little bit, I will just kind of carry on and not try and stop myself. Not that that's like a massive issue, but yeah, I'm trying to think like, no, confidence. But yes, that's everything. Please let me know if anyone has any experiences with their confidence being affected by hearing loss, and what, if they've got any tips to share, because that would be really helpful for me and probably a lot of other people. So please share your stories down in the comments if you feel comfortable doing that. Thank you very much for watching,